Welcome. In this session, we will talk about the international relations, and this would be our sixth lecture in the series of expected questions. Now, coming on to the international relations, the first important topic that we would discuss is the instability in the neighboring state of Bangladesh. Now, the the stepping down of the Prime Minister of Bangladesh and the challenges that India would be facing accordingly are really important. Now, this topic is also important for your means perspective in terms of the bilateral relations. So very important, must cover. Now what is really important to know is about the region. So this instability is really a issue of concern because it increases the chances of refugees and insurgencies. Nearly 32,000 ethnic Chin individuals have sought refuge in Mizoram, and many of them are now moving to Manipur. We have seen similar situations in Afghanistan. Now, these neighboring states, if there is any kind of humanitarian responsibility that has been found, the country gets liable for it, and then there are principles for diplomatic efforts that are taken into account, and the five S principled approach is taken into consideration. The next is the 75th anniversary of the Geneva Conference of 1949, and that happens in the year of 2024 on the international humanitarian law. And this talks about the treatments for the civilians, the prisoners of wars, the soldiers who actually they were unable to fight, or the recent conflict between Ukraine, Russia, the situation in Gaza, the violation of humanitarian rights. So it basically focuses on three principles of distinction, proportionality, and precaution. Now, these have to be covered carefully, and one of the major ideas of international humanitarian law is formed by the four Geneva Conventions 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there are additional three protocols. Now, the foundational treaties have been accepted and ratified by all the nations. Some of the other treaties which concern the international humanitarian law includes the Hague Convention on Cultural Property During Conflict, Biological Weapons Convention on Stockpiling of Biological Weapons, Chemical Weapons to Eliminate Them, Rome Statute, which actually talks about establishing international criminal code to prosecute war crimes or genocides. And then there are challenges which basically come in the form of the non-state armed group that has the enforcement and the chemical weapons that have been used in the regions. Now, Darfur is one such region which has been facing challenges because of limited resources and constraints imposed by the Sudanese government. Also, the technological adaptation has been a big issue because cyber warfare is again one of the major challenges, and this clearly distinguishes the civilian and the military targets in a very clean manner, right? The next is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now, this summit was held at Astana in Kazakhstan. It is called as the Astana Declaration. The idea is to set up a new Shanghai Cooperation Organization special working group for startup and innovation, a subgroup, a startup forum, and a young scientist conclave. Now, this also focuses on combating drug trafficking under the anti-drug strategy. Also, there are talks about terrorism, separatism, and extremism, which needs to be curtailed, and bringing in sustainable peace and prosperity. So the role of the Shanghai Corporation has been really important. The establishment and the challenges associated to it. India was given a observer status in 2005 and given a full membership in 2017. So India does have certain strategic approaches and priorities with the same. The next is the relation of India with Russia, mainly focusing around defense, energy, space, and trade. So these are some of the major ideas, and the recent visit characterizes the enduring and expanding partnership focusing on economic collaboration. There is a bilateral trade target of nearly 100 billion by 2030, which has been set, and joint manufacturing of spare parts and components, maintenance of Russian origin arms and defense equipments, and establishment of two new consulates in Kazan and Yekaterinburg has been important for India. So India establishing two new consulates in Russia. Now coming on to the challenges. Now relationship do have significant challenges. One is the low interpolability between the armed forces, which shows that there has been the postponement of the military drive Indra in 2022 and 2023. There was a lack of military deals since the S-400 agreement due to the US sanctions. Also, India is now aligning more with the West, and therefore there are economic modernization challenges. Russia has more strong ties with China growing, and as a result, India is facing a trade deficit with Russia. Now the next one is India and United Kingdom. Recently, the Foreign Secretary of United Kingdom visited India, and there was a new initiative which was Technology Security Initiative to focus on emerging and critical technologies, mainly critical minerals, semiconductor, AI, and quantum technology. So the major areas pertain to education, health, climate change, clean energy, trade, and defense. Now the relationship has been important because this has been a part of comprehensive strategic partnership. India has a bid for permanent seat in UN Security Council, and UK has been supporting India for the same. Both nations have been collaborating on a net security provider in the Indo-Pacific region, aligning with the Indo-Pacific tilt, right? Then the Indian Ocean region, the Quad countries are focusing more with Pacific. The next is the free trade agreement. This was a bilateral trade agreement negotiated in 2022 to realign 90% of the tariff lines for international trade. However, there are major concerns which are mainly for the commitments that extend beyond the WTO agreement on TRIPS, and significant reduction in the import duty on various goods like Scotch whisky and automobiles, which could negatively impact the trade balance, which is in favor of UK against India, right? That's for UK. Now coming on to the Pacific Islands, India has given help to Papua New Guinea, which has been part of the Pacific Island Cooperation, and an immediate relief package assistance of $1 million has been provided because for the landslide affecting the region. So below the region of Japan, you can see some of the major island groups. Under Micronesia, it's the fishery vessel research, which have the vessels to the Japan's provision to vessels to plan the vessels in the Pacific Islands, right? So it's Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu, Nauru, and then the Marshall Islands. So these are some of the major areas. Now Papua New Guinea actually recently witnessed one of the largest landslides devastating most of the region, and this is part of all the three groups, interestingly. So Melanesia, Micronesia, and Polynesia. And this island group has a strategic location which is valuable because of the maritime initiatives and the defense collaboration. Now, with the growing rivalries in Indo-Pacific between China and US, this location becomes strategically important, and the Trade Forum for the Indo-Pacific Island Cooperation has been reaching for help in the exclusive economic zone, supporting the blue economy in the region. And then there has been initiative under the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. Now, talking about some of the major developments in the Western Indian Ocean. So, if you look onto the Western Indian Ocean, we have the hybrid threats, the small arms trafficking, and then there is the maritime mixed migration routes that have been shared. And this talks about the incidences that have been seen. So these are the regions where the incidences have been extremely high, and these are the regions where they are relatively high, but mainly pertain to piracy, maritime incidents, irregular migration, and the IUU fishing, right? So this western India ocean region includes the western countries of Africa, that's bordering the regions of Kenya, Mozambique, Somalia, then the island groups of Comoros, Madagascar, Mauritius, Seychelles, and Mayotta and Reunion. And all of these have a very very important role in the geopolitics, because if we talk about the Mozambique channel alone, and the Cape of Good Hope, they produce 30% of the global oil trade. Then there is a information fusion center, Indian Ocean region. There are multilateral frameworks for Indo-Pacific cooperation in the same. So this has a significant strategic location for India. But again, then there is a growing influence of China in the region that needs to be neutralized, because Mauritius has set up a military base on the Agalega Island, which is vital for neutralizing any kind of Chinese advances in the region. So this region does have challenges. The challenges mainly are illegal armed trades, drug trafficking, piracy, unauthorized fishing, human trafficking, and pirate attacks in the regions of Somalia. So India's engagement under the Sagar initiative, that is security and growth for all in the region, we have assistance which was given to the Western Indian Ocean region, which included food, medicines, medical assistance team, and then we have training and equipment for the forest guards, navies, to enhance their capabilities in the region. Now, the next one that we would talk about is the India and the Global South. Now, what we need to understand here, these are some of the major islands, we could say, and we are trying to talk about the concept of life, that is balancing growth with environment friendly lifestyles, one earth, one family, one future, under the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbaka. So the idea is sustainable development, balancing growth and climate action, bringing traditional climate sensitive concepts, and then the recent participation with the theme an empowered global south for sustainable future has been important. There has been ideas of generic medicine, expertise in natural farming, which have been brought. Now what does global south include? So global south include all those countries which are technically and socially less developed in south hemisphere, in the regions of Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And Brand report actually distincts between the north and south countries based on technological advancement and GDP accounting. So, Global South has numerous challenges. First is underrepresentation in the global forums, and then no permanent membership from Africa and Latin America in the UN Security Council, higher public debt in these nations, issues of dispute settlement dysfunctioning in the regions have again been important. So India's significance has been important, and India's voice in fact has been important, which has been demonstrated through vaccine Maitri program during the pandemic. Also there is the International Solar Alliance, then following the idea of common but differentiated responsibility has been a part of it. Coming on to the next one, that is the India's Act East policy. Now, Act East is basically the eastern neighboring nations of India. This has been affected because of the road infrastructure that has been planned to Myanmar. Talking about the influx of refugees in the northeast, Bangladesh and the turmoil in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, expanding China's network in the maritime regions closing to India. So this Look East policy was initiated after the Cold War and the loss of USSR as one of the strategic partners. But India constantly engaged with ASEAN to become one of the sectoral partners in 1992, dialogue partner in 96, and summit partner in 2002, finally a strategic partner in 2012. And in 2014, this Look East policy was brought to have more political, strategic, and economic relationships. Now, this actually emphasizes on the Indo-Pacific regions, and major organizations which are part of it includes ASEAN, BIMSTEC, IRA, the Asian Cooperation Dialogue. Talking about the major ties, which include the ties with South Korea, Japan, Australia, and India has diplomatic ties with Philippines as well. BrahMos anti-ship missile in 2002, talked about the joint logistic capabilities enhanced with Vietnam. So India, Myanmar, Thailand trilateral highway, the Kaladan multimodal transit transport network, and Mekong India economic corridor are some of the major efforts to have a strong look east policy, right? The next is the relationship of India and Vietnam. Now, India and Vietnam, there has been restoration of various sites of My Son World Heritage Site temples. Now, there have been one of the developments of the National Maritime Museum in Lothal with the help of various memorandums being signed. And then there was a army software park in the Nha Trang in Vietnam, and this was with the decision to join the coalition for disaster resilience. So if we talk about the string of pearl and the oil shipping lane, so this is the oil shipping lane, as you can see, passing through the regions of north of Indonesia here. And then the dotted line, as you see, talks about the string of pearl route. Now this is the route that China is trying to build in order to have a control over the water regions around the South Pacific, right? The global South, right? Now talking about India was one of the first countries to recognize a united Vietnam in 1975 after the conflict with United States. There has been numerous defense cooperations in the form of PESEX, WINBAX and Milan. Both the countries have signed a joint statement on defense partnership. There are numerous cultural ties in the form of mainly the Buddhist heritage sites which have been shared. And Vietnam's significance for India is really, really important because as India confronts the Chinese territorial claims in the Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh, Vietnam similarly contests the regions over the Parcel and the Spratly Island. So there is a kind of advocacy between the two countries. And in terms of energy security, India's firms are involved in oil and gas exploration in Vietnam, in the Vietnamese water and in the hydrocarbon resources. So this has brought in a huge amount of energy security in the regions of Vietnam. Also, Vietnam has acquired the Akash surface to air missile. It has shown reluctance to fully utilize it, but there has been provision for military purposes and the military deals that could happen between the two nations, right? Talking about the relations with Malaysia, now there has been a huge export to India from Malaysia's export. So this is mainly in the form of mineral fuels, machines, vegetable oil, chemicals, right? So this talks about that Malaysia has joined the IBCA, that is International Big Cat Alliance, as one of the founding members. This was launched in 2023 on the 50th anniversary of Project Tiger. The idea is to engage with 97 range countries that have habitat for lions, tigers, leopards, snow leopards, cheetahs and jaguars. Now Malaysia's Startup Alliance has been started with India, and this is in a review process of the ASEAN-India Trade in Goods Agreement. So Malaysia's importance to India is really important because Malaysia has refused to comply with the demands of China for seizing the oil and gas exploration in the Sarawak State and the Borneo Islands. However, they are still moving forward for it, and India has provided a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific region, right? So India views Malaysia as one of the major partners of Global South, has been popularly working with the Voice of Global South Summit. Some of the important relations are mainly in the terms of aircraft, defense, oil and natural gas. Then we have the South China Sea diplomacy, and the involvement of China in the projects of Malaysia's Melaka deep sea port has been one of the major issues where the concerns have been raised around it, right? So the next one is the India's relation with Central and Eastern Europe. Now, if we talk about the pathway, as you can see here, this is a economic corridor. Much of it is built through rail route. A little of it is built through the sea route. So from India Mumbai to Dubai through the sea route, and then from the regions of Al Haditha to PRS through the sea route again, and the remaining part being covered through the rail route. This economic corridor actually links India to the Central and the Eastern Europe and brings in a good trade opportunity. So the economic counterweight to China can be brought in this direction. Now there has been numerous strategic deals between the countries, but first and the most important is the Belt and Road Initiative concerns, which has been raised for India. Now this path, once completed, would definitely be really important. Now those from the geography background must have talked about the Mackinder and the Heartland theories. This theory actually talks about whosoever controls the Eastern Europe would control the heartland, and who controls the heartland would dominate the world. Now this Eastern Europe has been a major concern, not only for other nations but specifically for China, because this string of pearl network also tries to connect to the regions of Eastern Europe either through sea or through the Silk Road. So the idea is connecting to the regions of Europe and boosting the trade relationships with Europe, and China is one of the major partners for it. So India is now trying to have better relationships with Central and Eastern Europe. The next is India and Poland. So there was a 70th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two nations, focusing mainly on people to people contact, cultural exchange, climate, energy, trade and investment. Now there has been a social security agreement between the cross border workers between India and Poland. India will launch a Jam Sahib of Navan Nagar youth exchange program in Poland, which has been named after Maharaja Jam Sahib Digvijay Singh, who in 1942 during the World War provided shelter to Polish children who were displaced from the USSR by setting up a camp in Jamnagar in Gujarat. So this has been one of the bases through which there has been a youth exchange program between India and Poland that has been started. The next is the Quad relationship. Now, Quad nations, the participation from India was witnessed this time, and during the summit, which was held at Wilmington, or which was called as the Wilmington Declaration, India is set to host the 2025 summit now. So some of the major issues that came around under the Quad summit was the vaccine distribution, the maritime security, counter terrorism, infrastructure, humanitarian assistance and emerging technologies. Now Wilmington Declaration focuses on some of the major things. For example, Quad Cancer Moonshot, that is an initiative to combat cervical cancers. The next is Quad Ports for Future Partnership, focusing specifically on port infrastructure, semiconductor supply chain contingency, which would be part of the Quad network, investors network. Then energy and clean energy, climate conditions. Then there is a MATRI, which is the Maritime Initiative for Training in Indo-Pacific. Also, Quad at Sea ship observer mission would improve the safety in the sea. So those are some of the important ideas which have been taken into Quad. Now there is emergence of S-Quad, which includes Australia, Japan, Philippines and US, and this could distract the focus of the Quad and the Shanghai Cooperation. The next is India's role in conflict resolution. So recently there was a huge consistent communication with India, Brazil, China to address the Ukraine conflict, and India has over the years tried to remain in a idea of Panchsheel, right? But what could be the Ukraine's missile reach is important. So if you have the Russian base that could be seen here, that's the maximum range that Ukraine can actually follow. So some of the areas which have already been controlled by Russia have been marked here. So Russia actually got hold of the regions of Crimea in 2014, and India has been a mediator on the global platform for the increasing conflicts. So India has played a major role in lifting the Saudi Arabia's 70-year ban on the flights to Israel passing through its airspace. That's one such example that we have given. And then there are series of examples through which India has shown good relationships and important hold in conflict resolution. The next one is India-Singapore relationships. Now, this is one of the major topics because it mainly focuses on educational foundation. Mainly in the field of life sciences and mathematics. Then, in the regions of Odisha, there is petrochemicals, so establishment of petrochemical parks with the help of Singapore. Air service agreement between the countries to be expanded, which would be revised which was revised 10 years ago. Now, Singapore is also seeing India's potential in maintenance, repair, and overhaul business services, which is called as the MRO. So, Singapore has been contributing to India for semiconductor, and then there is a good amount of tourism potential at the Hindus and the Buddhist heritage sites. So, those are some of the things that need to be taken into account here. The next is the Raffles founded Singapore as one of the trading ports, which was later managed from Kolkata. And India was one of the first countries to recognize the sovereignty of Singapore in 1965. So that strategic relationship again has a very important tie, and India's 5S approach, which is Samman, Samvad, Sahyog, Shanti, and Samriddhi, has been really important to resolve the relationships, and India's act as a peace mediator in the region, right? The next one is the bilateral investment treaty between India and UAE. Now, this was signed in Abu Dhabi, focusing on energy, trade, and defense. The investments talked about ensuring that there is no denial of justice and no fundamental breach of due process. There would be more transparency and compensation for the losses, if any. And UAE is one of the 7th largest source of FDI to India, contributing 3% of the total FDI which was received in the last 4 years. The next is Committee of 10. Now, Committee of 10 has been a very, very important part of the L69 grouping, which is the group of countries from Africa, Latin America, Caribbean, Pacific, Asia, India also being a member, talking about promoting African unity, addressing the inequities historically, global advocacy, the UN Security Council reforms, and implementation of Eswini Consensus. So, this C10 group, which is the Committee of 10 African Ministers for Finance and Central Bank Governors, was established in 2008, advocating on increasing Africa's participation in international financial institutions. The next is Anaconda Strategy. Now, Anaconda Strategy, Taiwan's Navy has asserted that China's military is using this strategy to encircle the island and increase the pressure. So, this strategy is similarly like an anaconda where it constricts its prey. So, China is trying to actually have this strategy against Taiwan to combat any kind of military maneuvers or psychological tactics or use of cyber warfare to have a full-scale invasion in the region. The next is Philadelphia Corridor. Now, Israel has made controls over the Philadelphia Corridor. This is a condition in the ceasefire negotiations in the regions of Hamas. This region of the land is nearly 9 miles or 14 kilometers along the Gaza border, as you can see here. Now, this region is very, very important because this has been designated as a demilitarized border zone. In 2005, withdrawal of Israeli settlements and troops from Gaza has been seen. So, this region still has the major idea of the development along, right? So, the UN refugee camps have been located for the accommodation in the regions at the Rafah crossing and the Kerem Shalom goods crossing area. So, those are some of the important topics that we have discussed in our first set of international relations. In our next set of international relations, we'll be talking about some more nations and some more countries, but these topics are exclusively important for your mains perspective. For prelims, most of the questions that come usually talk about alliance or a body, for example, Squad, and who are the members of it, which of the following nations have an observer status, which of the following are not a member. So questions like these are usually asked from major international alliances and bodies. So thanks for joining in. Please subscribe. Have a wonderful day.